we have this theorem which states that a polynomial of degree n greater than 0 has at most n distinct complex zeros. So tulad nung sa nakaraang video, ang sinasabi lang nito is kung yung function natin equals x cubed, so yung number of distinct complex zeros nito is at most 3. Okay? So kung meron din tayong f of x equals x raised to 4, so yung maximum din na number ng distinct complex zeros nito ay 4. So pwedeng mas mababa dyan yung number of zeros niya. Okay? Bakit mas mababa? Eh di ba dapat tatlo? Yes. Kasi meron tayong tinatawag na multiplicity. Okay? Multiplicity, ibig sabihin, yung zero ng isang function, pwedeng maulit ng ilang beses. So, mabibilang siya as isa na lang. Kasi nga, hindi mo naman pwedeng i-plot yung negative 2 ng dalawang beses. But our next theorem assures us na kapag binilang natin ng m times yung isang zero na may multiplicity m, then n pa rin yung number ng zeros natin. So, theorem 2.1.6 states that let f of x be a polynomial of degree n greater than 0. If a zero of f of x has a multiplicity m and is counted m times, then f of x has precisely n zeros. So, for example, ang zeros natin is negative 3, negative 2, pero ang multiplicity nito ay 2, and meron tayong negative 1 na ang multiplicity ay 3. So, ilan ang kanyang degree? 1, 2, 3, kasi dalawa siya, 4, 5, 6. So, yan yung sinasabi ng theorem 2.1.6 natin. So, for example, let's determine the function of degree 3 whose graph is shown below. So, first, we have to check nasaan ba yung zeros ng ating function. So, we have at negative 3, we have at 0, and we have at positive 1. So, what are the zeros? We have x equals negative 3, x equals 0, and x equals 1. This translates now to x plus 3 equals 0. Ibig sabihin, x plus 3 is a factor of the function. Ito naman, since x equals 0, so x equals 0 lang yan. And this one translates to x minus 1 equals 0. Since yung hinahanap nating function dito has degree 3, ibig sabihin, ilan ang roots niya? 3 roots. Kasi nga ang degree niya ay 3. Eh, ilan na ba to? 1, 2, 3. Therefore, these 3 are the factors of the function. So, we can now write the function as f of x equals a times x plus 3 times x minus 1. Ano yung a na to? This is our coefficient. Okay? Ang problema natin ngayon, hindi natin alam ano yung value ni a. So, how will you find the value of a? Note that, meron pa tayong isang point dito. This point is negative 2, negative 12. Ang ibig sabihin nito, this is your x, and this is your y, or this is your x, and this is your f of x. Ibig sabihin, at f of negative 2, the value of f of x is negative 12. So, this means that pag yung negative 2, pinasok natin sa lahat ng x, dapat daw ang makuha natin negative 12. So, that is f of negative 2 equals a times negative 2 plus 3 times negative 2 times negative 2 minus 1 is equal to negative 12. So, what is now the value of a? So, we have now a times positive 1 times negative 2 times negative 3 equals negative 12. Or we have 6a now equals negative 12 divided by 6. A now is equal to negative 2. Ngayon, babalik tayo dito. Okay? Ilalagay na natin ngayon yung value ni a as negative 2. So, what is now our function? F of x now equals, ano yung value ni a? Negative 2 times x plus 3 times x minus 1. Or we now have f of x now equals negative 2x times x plus 3 times x minus 1. Kapag further simplify pa natin ito, this is now f of x equals negative 2x cubed minus 4x squared plus 6x. Like what I've said earlier about multiplicity, yun yung kung ilang beses na ulit yung isang zero. So, meron tayong definition dito. We let C be a zero of f of x with multiplicity m. Okay? So, if m is odd, then, ano daw ang itsura ng graph natin? It passes through and crosses the x-axis at C0. And the trend of the graph, kung pataas ba siya o pababa, does not change. So, kung odd yung ating multiplicity, kukross siya sa x-axis, pero yung trend, kung pataas siya, pataas pa rin. Kung pababa siya, pababa pa rin. Like this. Pataas siya, tapos merong magkukross dito, pataas pa rin. Or pababa siya, magkukross dito, then pababa pa rin. That is if m is odd. If m is even naman, then the graph of f of x passes through the x-axis at C0 but does not cross. Instead, it either curves up or down. The trend of the graph changes from increasing to decreasing or vice versa. Ang ibig sabihin naman yan, so kunwari pababa siya, and then dadaan siya sa x-axis, and then mag-change siya ng behavior. Or pataas siya, and then cross sa x-axis, and then mag-change ng behavior. That is for m na even. So for example, we want to determine the function of degree 4 whose graph is shown below. Ang degree daw niya dapat 4. But upon checking on the graph, dalawa lang yung ating zeros. We have x equals 0 and x equals positive 2. Pero ano bang sabi sa definition natin? Kapag m is even, nag-change siya ng trend. And if you look at this, pataas, biglang pababa, pataas, biglang pababa. Which gives us a hint that x equals 0 has multiplicity 2 and x equals 2 also has multiplicity 2. Bakit 2? Bakit hindi 4? Kasi yung degree niya 4 lang eh. Diba? So, dalawang 0 at dalawang 2. Hindi naman pwedeng walang 0 tapos 4 na 2. Kasi nga, 0 at 2 yung kanyang zeros. Therefore, we can now write f of x equals, okay, huwag kalimutan yung a, times x squared, kasi dalawa yung multiplicity niya, and x minus 2, dito yun galing, x minus 2, diba? Kasi this is x minus 2 equals 0. Dalawa din yung kanyang multiplicity. So, we now have a times x squared times x minus 2 squared. Pero ano yung value ng a natin? Again, tignan natin, may point dito. This is the point 1, negative 4. This means this is your x and this is your f of x. So, at f of 1, the value is negative 4. So, kung ipapasok natin yung 1 dito sa mga x's natin, Then we now have f of 1 now becomes a times 1 squared times 1 minus 2 squared, which is equal to negative 4. So a times 1 is just a times 1 minus 2 is negative 1 squared, that is also 1, so that is negative 4. So the value of a now is negative 4. So what is now our function? F of x now equals negative 4 x squared times x minus 2 squared. So for the next example, let's determine the function of degree 6 with zeros at 2, negative 3 with multiplicity 2, negative 1 with multiplicity 3, and f of negative 2 equals 8. Okay, so ilagay muna natin yung mga zeros natin. X equals 2, x equals negative 3, and x equals negative 1. This translates to x minus 2 equals 0. This is now x plus 3 equals 0. And this is now x plus 1 equals 0. So f of x now equals a times x minus 2, isa lang yan. X plus 3, dalawa daw yan. And x plus 1, tatlo yan. Okay? So hanapin ulit natin yung value ng a. Given tayo nito, f of negative 2 equals 8. So, pag pinasok yung negative 2 dyan, dapat daw ang makuha ay 8. So, f of negative 2 now equals a times negative 2 minus 2 times negative 2 plus 3 squared times negative 2 plus 1 cubed, which is equal to 8. So, we now have a times negative 4 times 1 times negative 1 equals 8. So, 4a equals 8 over 4 over 4. A now is equal to 2. So, what is now our function? F of x now equals, ang a natin is 2 times x minus 2 times x plus 3 squared times x plus 1 cube. So this is now the graph of our function. Okay? So yung 2 natin, ang multiplicity nito ay 1. So add siya. So pataas, and then dediretso siyang pataas. For negative 3, ang multiplicity natin dito ay 2. Even, so pababa, and then mag-change pataas. And for negative 1, ang multiplicity natin dito ay 3. So pababa siya, and then dediretso siyang pababa.